Hello, and welcome to Saturday with Jess. Tonight, we'll be reading, I believe, two chapters 14 and 15, or 13 and 14, something in there. Let's see, 14 and 15. I was right the first time. I pay attention sometimes. Let's see here. Before we get started, was there any news? Probably plenty. The biggest one that comes to mind right now is that stupid New York Post tabloid, the one that's owned by the Murdochs and, also spews a very, very pro-Trump dumb narrative, shall we say, decided to post their breaking news story that, Hunter Biden did some such level of bullshit, right? I mean, I'm not going to give the story any water here because even if there's a small piece of truth in there, the computer, if it actually did come from Hunter Biden, because there's that whole question, right? Had its hard drive copied illegally, right, by a guy who can't get his story straight at all. That was then handed off to Giuliani because he's trustworthy. And then it was somehow published without any level of redaction by the New York Post. So that's where we are, folks. It's like, if we don't agree with you, we don't need to protect your name, your email, anything. Telephone numbers. I mean, come on. Why? Why are we here? If you're listening to me right now and you somehow think that this is at all okay, or you have friends that are all okay with this, like, I had someone on my Facebook feed the other day who reposted pretty much just a screenshot of this. And when I went to just try and talk like a normal human being to this person, I was met with, well, it's obvious that by you questioning this at all, that you're not going to agree with it, so it's not worth having any discussion with you. Excuse me? Excuse me. You don't even want to engage in a conversation because I've said that the source of all of this is to be questioned? Why? Why? And then after a few more back and forths with this person, he essentially just threw up the stupid man behind the curtain meme as though that was supposed to mean anything to me. There is no logic, there is no thought here. These are the folks that somehow believe that if Biden gets elected, he's going to end up being impeached. Well, newsflash for you folks. Trump already was impeached. Nothing came of it because, the stupid GOP-led Senate, they didn't want to do anything about it. But that doesn't take away from the fact that he was already impeached. That is a legal proceeding. That already happened. That is on his record. Right? Unless I'm missing something. Anyway, so that's all for today on the news. I'm sure there's plenty more. I mean, I'm not going to get into the competing town halls. There's been more news about that than anything. The one funny thing that came out of the whole freaking debacle, though, is that Trump had that hope and dream that by appearing on a larger network with more outlets, his ratings were supposedly going to go through the roof and just trample Biden's. Well, that didn't happen either, now did it? Gotta admit, I'm kind of happy. I mean, I didn't watch any of it anyway. I was tuned into Discovery, just like I told you folks I would. But that is neither here nor there. So let's get started, shall we? Chapter 14. After former FBI Director Robert Mueller was appointed special counsel to investigate Russia-Trump 2016 campaign links, Trump began a drumbeat of attacks. But Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican from South Carolina and Trump's closest friend in the Senate, took a different track. Now, there's another one, right? By the way, if on Twitter you see some moron posting about Bill Gates making a maxed out contribution to Lindsey Graham, yeah, because that's going around right now. Didn't happen. They've already pulled apart the forms and the submissions and all the declarations, and it's forged. Of course it's forged. And if it's not forged, then somebody made the contribution using Bill Gates's name. But the record number doesn't match up with the actual FEC filings, either in, at any federal jurisdiction. The one that does come up comes up for a Gary Gates. Gary Gates. Back to the book. I respect the decision, Graham said on Fox News. He's a good choice in terms of respect among members of both parties. He's a seasoned former FBI director. The two friends continued to disagree in public and in private. In April 2018, Graham co-sponsored a bill to protect Mueller and his work. Co-sponsored as well by a bipartisan group of moderates, Tom Tillis, a North Carolina Republican, and Democrat Cory Booker of New Jersey, and Democrat Chris Coons of Delaware. The bill was approved by the Senate Judiciary Committee 14-7, but Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said it was unnecessary, and Graham knew he would not bring it to the floor. Trump's opposition to the probe went beyond Twitter's outbursts. The president called White House counsel Don McCain at home twice on June 17, 2017, and ordered him to have Mueller removed by Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. Call Rod. Tell Rod that Mueller has conflicts and can't be the special counsel, Trump said in the second call. Call me back when you do it. McGahn did not follow through on the president's orders. Graham didn't buy Trump's attacks on Mueller and the Russia investigation. Over the years, Graham had watched Mueller as FBI director and concluded he was independent and fair-minded. If Trump had colluded or coordinated with the Russian government in 2016, which he did, the report, if you remember, did actually say that there were things that were really, truly fishy, but they just didn't dig into any of it. Surprise. If Trump had colluded or coordinated with the Russian government in 2016, it would be a disaster for Trump and the Republican Party. Listen, Graham told Trump, if you actually did this, even though it was before you were president, you cannot serve. I didn't do it, Trump told Graham. I've done a lot of bad things, but I didn't do this. I believe you on both counts, Graham said. The denial in his views had the ring of truth. In private conversation with the president, Graham repeatedly urged Trump to let Mueller investigate and to let it take its course. If Trump was being honest with the country and had done nothing wrong, Graham argued he should let the investigation go forward. There's only one man in the country with the ability to clear you of working with the Russians, Graham told Trump in early 2019. I can't clear you of working with the Russians. You can't clear you of working with the Russians. If you didn't work with the Russians, there's one of two things going to happen. He's going to make shit up to prove that you did what you didn't, which was Trump's fear, or he's going to tell the truth. Graham continued to see Mueller as a straight shooter. If you're being honest with me and I'm right about Mueller, you'll be fine, he told the president. Now, if I'm wrong about Mueller, then I'll be the first to say it. If you're not honest with me, I'll be the first to say that. I didn't make phone calls, Trump told Graham. The president was insistent. I didn't work with Russians, but your kids probably did. Mr. President, there's only one thing that would turn me against you, and that is if you actually worked with the Russians. I didn't, Trump said. I believe you, Graham replied, because you can't work with your own government. Why should you be working with the Russian government? Trump laughed. Yeah, that's true, he said. But there was nothing funny about the Mueller investigation. In the media, as well as among Democrats and many Trump critics, the Mueller probe was widely held out as Trump's Watergate. You can see evidence in plain sight on the issue of collusion, pretty compelling evidence, House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff said in February 2019 in an interview on CNN. In Washington, there was an expectation that Mueller's report was the other shoe to drop and could potentially lead to Trump's impeachment. Did. Mueller's team supposedly did not leak, which only increased expectations that he had something big. The Washington Post and the New York Times continued the media investigation, publishing dozens of front-page stories about many of the same questions Mueller was investigating. Chapter 15. Pompeo returned from Pyongyang in April with a letter from Kim expressing an openness to meet and passed it to Trump. The president wasted no time writing back. Is anybody else a little disappointed that we're back in the Kim Jong-un saga part of this book? Anybody at all? I feel like that little snippet to the impeachment was just like, please keep reading. Anyway, I digress. I agree with everything you said, Trump wrote in a letter to Kim dated April 3rd, and have very little doubt that our meeting will be a momentous one for both our countries and for the rest of the world. Plans for their meeting got underway. It was a remarkable pivot in relations between the chairman and the president, who just months earlier had been exchanging insults that were unusually personal. The diplomatic courtship between Trump and Kim in 2018 and 19 is captured in 27 letters that I obtained, and 25 are reported here for the first time. Florid and grandiloquent, they trace how the two forged a personal and emotional bond. Trump has personally said they are love letters. They are more than that. They reveal a decision by both to become friends. Whether genuine or not, probably only history will tell. The language is not out of the traditional diplomatic playbook. They resemble declarative of personal fealty that might be uttered by the Knights of the Round Table or perhaps suitors. A first meeting was nearly scuttled after Trump was quoted suggesting in a May 17, 18 meeting that if Kim didn't make a deal with Trump, he could be meeting a fate similar to slain Libyan leader Muammar al-Gaddafi, who was overthrown in 2011. The model, if you look at that model with Gaddafi, that was a total decimation, Trump said publicly. We went in there to beat him. Now that the model would take place, if we don't make a deal, most likely. But if we make a deal, I think Kim Jong-un is going to be very, very happy. Oh my God, I hate reading quotes from this man. I always feel dumber. I always feel dumber. Like, when it sounds like I'm just making mistakes, they're actually written here, folks. They're actually written here for Trump quotes. It's painful. It hurts. And to then not correct myself, because Sorry. Gonna keep going now. North Korea's vice minister, Cho Son-hui, responded, whether the U.S. will meet us at a meeting room or encounter us at a nuclear-to-nuclear showdown is entirely dependent upon the decisions and behavior of the United States. On May 24th, Trump wrote Kim a letter canceling the summit. Sadly, based on the tremendous anger and open hostility displayed in your most recent statement, I feel it is inappropriate at this time to have this long-planned meeting, Trump wrote. He tweeted out a copy of the letter. But the dispute was short-lived. South Korean President Moon Jae had helped arrange talks between American and North Korean diplomats on the North Korean side of the border on May 27th, and the summit was back on schedule just days after Trump had canceled it. Kim wrote to Trump on May 29th that he had great expectations for the summit and an event the entire world is focusing on, he added. I sincerely hope that our first meeting, about to happen at no small pains, will lead to more wonderful and meaningful meetings. On June 12th, 2018, Trump and Kim finally met at the Capella Hotel in Singapore, beginning their summit at 9:05 a.m. local time. The two shook hands before the news media for about 12 seconds before turning to the cameras. Holy shit, the president later told me he had said to himself. The moment made a memorable impression on him. He claimed the wall of news cameras was amongst the largest he had ever seen in his life, even more than he had seen in Hollywood at the Academy Awards. Well, gee. After shaking hands, the two retreated to a one-on-one meeting. Trump later said he found Kim to be far beyond smart. Well, smarter than you, for sure. In their initial meeting, Trump said the two leaders talked about the tremendous potential North Korea had. Trump said he told Kim he didn't want to remove him, alluding to Gaddafi's threat. And he wanted him to lead the country to greatness. It could be one of the great economic powers of the world, where there are fake supermarkets and people starving in the streets and, just a general sense of malaise because they don't allow for pictures to infiltrate their system showing other countries where life might be different or better. Any of those things? I mean, a host of others maybe. But, the Communist Socialist Party, woo, where everything's named after Kim Jong-un or his dad. By the end of the meeting, Trump and Kim signed a short 4-point agreement. The most consequential part of the agreement said that North Korea, reaffirming its initial agreement with South Korea, commits to work towards complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. Kim did not return from the summit empty-handed. Trump said he would guarantee North Korea's security. In a news conference after the meeting, Trump made a surprise announcement. The United States would be ending joint military exercises with South Korea. The North Korean regime had long seen the joint exercises as a threat. We will be stopping the war games, which will save us a tremendous amount of money. Not nearly as much money, coincidentally, if we could stop the stupid protection details for you and your travel-loving family, and all the hotel bills that are getting racked up when you stay at your own freaking place, because we need to be paying the Trump Hotel for our president to stay there, apparently, with all of his mandates about where people from other delegations have to stay, like, Trump DC. God, I hope that place gets eradicated. Tremendous amount of money, unless and until we see the future negotiation is not going along like it should, Trump said. But we'll be saving a tremendous amount of money. Plus, I think it's very provocative. Well, the détente with North Korea was far from complete. Trump was quick to declare the trip a success. Just landed, a long trip, but everybody can now feel much safer than the day I took office, Trump wrote in a tweet the morning of June 13th. There is no longer a nuclear threat from North Korea. In a second tweet, Trump added, before taking office, people were assuming that we were going to war with North Korea. President Obama said the North Korea was our biggest and most dangerous problem. No longer. Sleep well tonight. Trump's 391-word agreement with Kim did not end the nuclear threat from North Korea. No shit, because, what was it, last week? It was making the news again that they're testing nuclear weapons. Maybe? Something like that. I feel like it was like last week. It simply reaffirmed a loosely worded declaration that Kim had signed with South Korea in April 2018. The agreement was less specific regarding denuclearization than prior agreements Kim's predecessors had signed in 1992 and 2005 during the Clinton and Bush administration. Saying it doesn't make it so, Senator Chuck Schumer of New York, the Democratic minority leader, said in remarks on the Senate floor on June 13th. North Korea still has nuclear weapons. It still has ICBMs. It still has the United States in danger. Somehow, President Trump thinks that when he says something, it becomes reality. Yeah. Mattis was taken completely by surprise that Trump had canceled the training exercises with South Korea. In accordance with Trump's announcement, Mattis suspended major military exercises such as the Ulchi Freedom Guardian, an annual exercise which involved 18,000 U.S. troops and up to 50,000 South Korean troops. Smaller units, however, needed to train, Mattis told Trump. We're not going to have the troops sitting in the barracks. That's no good. The Trumps are worthless. The troops are worthless to you as president. They're worthless to me as Secretary of Defense if they are not out there training. He reminded the president that these troops in South Korea rotated to and from Afghanistan and Iraq. They needed to be battle ready. There's too much emphasis on terrorism and fighting the old Bush wars, Trump said. That is so the terrorists can't come after the United States here, Mattis replied, as happened with the 9/11 attacks. I always hear that, Trump complained. That means we've got to fight everywhere in the world. No, it doesn't, sir. No shit, Mattis, no shit. I feel for you, man. Like, what do you say to that kind of idiot? Back at the Pentagon, Mattis ordered a workaround. All platoon, company, battalion, brigade level exercises, regimental exercises continue, he said. Air group continues. Naval exercises continue. The president doesn't mean we're all going to sit in the barracks now and look at the walls, okay, guys? So let's not everybody suck their thumbs. Smaller exercises with regiments-sized units made up several thousand troops. They didn't have to be briefed back to Washington. Only the high-level exercises were in the president's crosshairs. Mattis reduced those to command posts and communication network exercises. They won't have troops in the field. No field maneuvers, nothing that could be called a war game. In South Korea, the U.S. and South Korea Commander General Brooks quickly worked to reduce the visibility of the exercises. He immediately scaled back the size of the units, changed the timing, and lowered the volume of communication so that there was less public news about the training and less in view of Kim and Trump. Mattis was frustrated with the message being sent to China, Russia, and North Korea. What we're doing is we're actually showing how to destroy America, he said later. That's what we're showing them. How to isolate us from all of our allies, how to take us down. And it's working very well. We are declaring war on one another inside America. It's actually working against us right now. Okay. Well, I'll put that book down. I will pick this back up probably tomorrow. No promises though. Never are anymore. Hey guys, stay sane. Love you all.